Mic check 1 2. Mic check 1 2. Hey, what's up, y'all? This is the G Podcast. Episode 140 is in the building. Yes. Hello. I'm your host, Tommy B. So much to talk about, y'all. Once again, it is like Biden's best week, y'all. I got to go ahead and do it. I mean, I don't know how. But it's Biden's best week, y'all. He's a happy man. They passed it. As we speak, like stuff, you know, this is grammatically incorrect, but stuff be happening on Sundays. I mean, you know what I mean? It pops off on Sunday. I don't know, things pass. Unfortunately,
people pass
away. But Sunday is the day to tape. I mean, a lot of folks, it's just a lot of activity on Sunday. But I'm your host, Tommy B. So much to talk about. Brittany Griner is going to get 9 years or has been given 9-year sentence. And we're going to talk about that. Because actually that's not such a bad thing when it comes down to moving forward to try to negotiate her release. We'll talk about that. Biden catches COVID twice. Again, so nice. He got it twice. And it led to his best week ever. So maybe he needs to keep COVID. maybe COVID is, I'm saying, it's like, he caught COVID twice and a better week. And, after all hope was lost, y'all, we might be seeing justice for Breonna Taylor in Kentucky. I mean, it took the feds to jump in to do it, but it looks like we might be seeing, some justice via the federal government. Department of Justice is jumping in, and hopefully we'll see something. But this is the G Podcast, y'all. Episode 140. This week we do news, politics, pop culture, that piping hot tea from the one and only. Y'all give it up for Tanya B. in the building. Yes. Tanya B. And is it the month-long birthday celebration, Tanya B?
That is correct, yes.
Let me go ahead and give you there you go. Tanya B. in the building. Birdwire, again, Fridays and Saturdays, 8 p.m., 10 p.m., Saturdays at noon. Oh, I mean, when it comes
interestingly
down... Yeah. You did your Jesse Johnson tribute this past weekend. But go ahead.
And you know what? I just want to say shout out. I got more social media engagement on that than I have in a very long time. I mean, so shout out to all the people, that checked in. And, I said I would have some wig splitters for you. I know a lot of people didn't know, and I used to be one of them. I knew that he was very involved in one of the biggest records of the 83-84 was, along with Jamin Lewis, Sherilyn's Preppy, which gave us her hit Encore, which everybody played. That was a Jesse Johnson deal. And also, a lot of people did not know. I used to be one of them. That Jesse Johnson actually wrote Nights Like This, recorded by After 7, that was in the Five Heartbeats movie. That was one of the most played songs from a movie. And it was an award. It got an award for that. Who knew? So Jesse been dipping it and doing it behind the scenes. 2015 with D'Angelo and the Vanguard, won a Grammy. So he really has been doing a lot behind the scenes. He didn't just go off into the sunset, a lot of movie soundtracks and another 48 hours and things
Yep.
along that line. So I just thought he deserved some shine. And apparently a lot of people agreed.
So I'm gonna give it up just a John. I mean, I'm telling you though, my song, "Can You Help Me?" That's my jam,
That was
man. When
it.
that came on, that intro, dun, 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 dun,
I
that
know
was
it's like
a
I could
jam.
not do that. And then
Yeah,
again, his top charted record was
yeah.
actually was Sly Stone. I'm like, how he
Oh
got
yeah,
Sly Stone to come out of the van down by the river, even back then,
yeah.
to record Crazy and video too. So got to give it up
But
to
you know
him.
the here's the odd thing because you played "Jerk Off"
Yeah. So I said, you got
by
to
the
give it up
time.
to Johnson. I
Jerk, oh,
think,
I said "jerk
yeah.
off," "jerk out" by
So
the
and again,
time.
people didn't realize that was the time's own.
Oh, you
People also didn't know.
yeah.
He said a lot of songwriting credits were taken away from him, but he is a co-writer of two of the time's biggest hits from the movie Purple Rain, which was Jungle Love and The Bird. He co-wrote them as well.
Very cool. So give it up. Great job this week, by the way. Good job again, as always. As always, welcome back. Look forward to you. Definitely some hot tea. We got a lot of stuff going on. A whole lot of great tea this week. So we're going to get into that. And y'all give it up for the one and only. He is back, y'all. And another birthday. It's like August is the birthday capital.
Yeah, brother.
Y'all give it up for the one and only Hey, hey, country commentator, I was going to wait until the end of the show for this, but people missed you. One of the audience said that you remind them of themselves sitting on the porch, um, old man sitting on the porch. So he said, give you a let me make sure I do it right. Give you your air horn. And, and the other one, if you watch the show either on YouTube or we have another link that brings you into actually a studio called Riverside. Somebody else asked about your. Now this is a trip, Vi. So you there? Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
I'm here loud and clear.
They asked about the Schiffero
The
in the
Schiffero.
back, the China cabinet. They say, is that a real China cabinet or is it just a background?
Tell it it is not a China cabinet, but it's
Is it a
definitely real.
Schiffero?
No, what you call them things that everybody get from they get when they go to Germany?
It's either a curio or a break front,
See,
as opposed to a China cabinet.
we called it
Wasn't
from like Cooley High back in the day, Schiffero. That's
no,
Oh,
cause my wife, she had that handmade while she was in Germany. She designed the whole
Whoa.
oh,
thing out of made.
Well,
wow.
they just asked if it was real because it's
It's
old
real.
school. Okay,
It's
so
definitely real.
it is real. See, Vi, you don't think people pay attention. You don't think people pay attention to you.
I see. I see. It's definitely
So
real.
they were asking, "Hey, where is Vi?" And they,
Tell
and
me, tell me
we got some great
the
comments.
crystal. Tell me
Yeah.
the crystal and all is very real.
Okay, cool. You want to put a price on it? Put it on eBay?
No, I wanted to, but my son said, "Do not sell it." He said he
Do not
wants it.
sell it. Well, cool.
Mm.
Very cool. But I'm telling you, people, you got great comments as well. Tanya B always gets her comments about her tea, but you were getting comments about the benediction as well, man. So good to have you
Okay,
back,
cool.
man. I know a lot's
Yeah,
been going on. You've been
I'm glad I
traveling.
didn't. I'm glad in our
Yeah.
the last one I didn't offend anybody. I told him that don't be going out partying that night. Thank God bless him.
No, it was good advice. Actually, you got,
Oh.
people said it was good advice. Go ahead, Tanya B.
You know what I say, Vi? Don't be out here tootsie rolling, dipping it low and spreading it wide. That's how we got where we are right now. So it's okay.
It's
Woo!
okay.
It's okay.
Nancy Pelosi over there tootsie rolling in Taiwan. Fine.
Taiwan. Hey, let me say this though, Tanya B, regarding that. I was not happy about that. And even though it did turn out okay, the ramifications of China just continuing to pick on Taiwan, possibly raising the price of goods because you can't go into Walmart. Vi, you used to work there.
Yeah,
If what 80% of the goods come from China, or
most of it.
Taiwan. So if there's a decision by China to go up or cut us off, we better be prepared to deal with that. So I have to ask. My question to her is, was it worth it? Was it really worth it?
Why is
You
she so intent in going to Taiwan? Because we already said we're
yeah,
not going to take up for them.
yeah, I know.
So why go over there? China said, leave him alone, leave him alone.
Yeah. I mean, with so much going on, I mean, luckily Biden had a good week, because I think if Biden would have had a bad week, I don't think the conversation would be as pleasant in the White House with the Speaker of the House. But I'm going to leave it at that. Hey, y'all, again, this is episode 140. This is the G Podcast. So much coming up. And let's do this because we got a lot to talk about. I do want to go ahead and do the news headlines. So let's news with the one and only Syracuse Mike, and we'll come right back. Here we go.
News team, assemble!
It's time for the Week in News with Syracuse Mike.
Tuesday night, by a vote of 86 to 11, the Senate passed legislation to expand health care benefits for millions of veterans who were exposed to toxic burn pits while serving in the military. Burn pits were used to incinerate waste plus hazardous material and chemical compounds at military sites throughout Iraq and Afghanistan. You've been hearing about this battle for several days now, especially from comedian and activist Jon Stewart. Many Republicans initially supported helping the vets, but then objected to the bill, saying they had an issue with switching the burn pits fund from discretionary to mandatory spending. They say the move would free up $400 billion in a way that lawmakers could use the money. To pass it, the two parties finally agreed to a series of amendment votes. Tuesday, she became the first U.S. House Speaker to visit Taiwan in 25 years. In a statement, Nancy Pelosi says the congressional delegation's visit to Taiwan honors America's unwavering commitment to supporting the country's vibrant democracy. China is not happy, condemning the visit as a serious violation of the One China principle. China maintains Taiwan as part of their territory and has threatened serious consequences if Pelosi made the visit. The official U.S. position is to not support Taiwan independence. In a rare example of support from across the aisle, Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell says he agrees with the visit.
I think it's important that the Speaker did go to Taiwan. I don't think the Chinese get to tell members of Congress where they can go.
The White House is in an odd position, not wanting to be seen as critical of Pelosi, but also kind of wishing she wasn't in Taiwan. The President has signed an executive order meant to make it easier for women to cross state lines to get abortions.
I commit to the American people that we're doing everything in our power to safeguard access to health care, including the right to choose that women had under Roe v. Wade.
In a virtual appearance, Mr. Biden also had a warning for Republicans, telling the GOP the issue could damage them politically. The Biden administration has established an interagency task force to respond to the recent high court ruling that overturned Roe v. Wade. The White House says the Department of Health and Human Services will come up with specifics on how they will work with states to provide Medicaid waivers. Yesterday's executive order comes as there were celebrations in the state of Kansas after it became clear Tuesday evening that voters had decided to protect abortion rights in the state's constitution. Rachel Sweet is with Planned Parenthood.
The voters of Kansas have spoken loud and clear. We will not tolerate extreme bans on abortion in our state.
The victory and the percentage that it passed in a Republican and socially conservative state like Kansas is being noticed across the country. In Georgia, pregnant women will be able to list their fetus as a dependent on their state tax returns. Again, this is state taxes only. It's still a bit unclear what happens if the woman applies for an exemption and there's a miscarriage, and what type of documentation will be required to prove a pregnancy. Of course, child support from the father is another issue that state officials will have to clear up further.
Today's overdue, but it still hurts.
That's Breonna Taylor's mother, Tamika Palmer, after U.S. Attorney General Merrick Garland announced that federal charges have been filed against 4 Louisville police officers for violating Taylor's civil rights. Here's Garland.
Specifically, we allege his Fourth Amendment rights were violated when defendants Joshua James, Kyle Meany, and Kelly Goodlatte sought a warrant to search Ms. Taylor's home knowing that the officers lacked probable cause for the search.
Brett Hankerson is the 4th officer involved. Taylor was 26 when she was shot and killed by Louisville officers after they knocked down the door. Thinking the officers were intruders, her boyfriend fired a shot and hit one of the officers before they returned fire, striking Taylor. One of the issues driving the federal investigation, false and misleading statements tied to the search warrant. The U.S. has declared monkeypox a public health emergency as cases top 6,600 nationwide. Georgia has topped 500 cases.
I will be declaring a public health emergency on monkeypox.
That's Health and Human Services Secretary Javier Becerra. The announcement basically means emergency funds will be freed up, health agencies will be able to collect more data from states, and this declaration should speed up vaccine distribution. President Biden and Senate Democrats got some good news Thursday night after finally locking in Senator Kyrsten Sinema's support for their climate, tax, and health care proposal. The deal will allow Democrats to move forward on the legislation this weekend. In a statement, Sinema said she won changes that would protect advanced manufacturing and boost our clean energy economy. And Majority Leader Chuck Schumer said the agreement preserves major pieces of his earlier agreement with Senator Joe Manchin. The new agreement with Sinema includes changes to portions of the corporate minimum tax structure. WNBA star Brittany Griner was found guilty in Russia and sentenced to 9 years in prison for smuggling drugs into the country. Griner, who had pled guilty to bringing less than 1 gram of cannabis oil into Russia, is devastated, according to her attorney. Reaction from the White House.
We have repeatedly called for Russia to release her immediately so she can be with her wife, loved ones, friends, and teammates.
An appeal is expected, and the U.S. is still trying to arrange a prisoner swap with Russia for Griner and former Marine Paul Whelan's freedom.
Hey, and again, the situation with Brittany Griner, honestly, this had to be done in order for them to move forward. Now, everybody believes that definitely it was too harsh for what she bought in. She was not doing any kind of distribution. This is, I was listening, and you can check out Rob Redding on Castropolis. But one of the things that Rob said that because she is gay, because, she's lesbian, she's partnered, actually, she's married, she has a wife, they feel that Russia was even, more harsh on her because of that. But one of the things that one of the big negotiators who has done negotiations between Russia before has said that this situation had to be done. The sentencing had to be done before they could actually even start connecting with Russia to talk about a release. So, it definitely doesn't feel good. And, from an anxiety, I guess from a psychological standpoint, that's a lot to carry. Knowing in your 30s, you basically, her entire 30s, if this were to stand, would be in jail in Russia. And that really puts a damper on her career. But, again, have hope because of the fact that this step, the sentencing had to go down in order for the State Department to connect with Russia and diplomacy to get her out. Tanya B, you got something to say? Anything? Get up on your mic. Let me hear you.
I just think had this been, and let's just call a thing, had this been Rebecca Lobo or one of the other WNBA players who has a different pigmentation situation, the sentencing and everything that's gone on for the last, almost 6 months would not have happened. And again, we also have to remember that this person that owns that team that Brittany Griner with BG was playing on is a very close ally, friend, whatever you want to call it, of Putin. Yeah. So, this is almost like they're using her, I think, as a bargaining chip to get what they want. That's what I think it is.
And Vi, you got any thoughts? Any thoughts, Vi? Jump on in.
I agree with her on that because I was reading when they said this white lady married, she got caught with less than that. I don't even think she got a year. I think she got months, and they let her go just like that. And also, I think it has a lot to do who she is. Brittany's a superstar basketball player.
Yeah.
And black, that being black did not help her.
Yeah, I agree. Well, we'll see. Again, most people are saying the sentencing happened in order for her to
for them to move on next steps.
For them to do next steps. To say it's fair, without a doubt, it just doesn't seem fair. But we'll see. Hopefully, we can go ahead and negotiate, get her and Whelan out, and move forward. I would recommend, and it would be crazy. I don't see why any athlete should continue to quote unquote do business with Russia at this point, knowing that basically they could do anything. Especially with us supporting Ukraine, they should really block any kind of business that's being done.
Any
whether
sports,
it's athletic, any sport, they should not.
Or even business, any business actually.
Which is business. You're getting paid. You know what I'm saying? You're getting paid to play. So yeah.
But let me just say this.
Yeah.
Look at how many female WNBA players, or just female athletes, period, have to leave this country to go to, countries like Russia or Taiwan or China or wherever to play. You don't find as many males that have to go and do that. And I maybe, unless I missed the memo, unless we all missed it, have you ever heard of any former male African American, black, brown, or tan male player having to deal with what Britney's dealing with right now?
No. And probably because when you look at the fact that Britney's paid she's the highest paid at $200,000, and the lowest, probably when you look at the lowest paid NBA players at $1 million, most of those guys, most of them will have enough to bank, and plus they'll have enough opportunities within the states to kind of hang around. But I'm gonna leave it at that. We'll see how the negotiations go.
Okay.
I did talk to Stephanie Gray, StephanieLGray.com. We're gonna have her on. I think she just couldn't make it this week, but we're gonna have her on in the future for a future show, and hopefully maybe we can have her on when Britney's released to kind of talk about her experience, because she's an international. She played in the international leagues as a pro, so she can give us some insight as well. One other thing I want to jump to, we just had the bill pass, and one of the things, and I'm not going to spend a lot of time. What I'll do is post a link on our podcast page, because there's a lot to it, and I just don't want to go down the list. We got a lot on the show today, but I will post the link to what is and what's not in the bill. I was a little surprised by what's not in the bill. And this is probably why Bernie Sanders was upset, and you've heard zero from AOC, because a lot of the stuff that they were pushing for was not in the bill. And I would say the reason it's not in the bill is not because of the Republicans, it's because of Sinema and Manchin. Those are the two reasons why a lot of things were taken out and negotiated for, because primarily, the Republicans weren't going to vote for it anyway. This comes down to Sinema and Manchin. But one of the things that it will do is it will bring down the cost of insulin to cap it at $35 a month. There's some, what do you call stipulations with that. But the other thing, free vaccines for seniors, the Affordable Care Act, they're going to expand the subsidies. And also they're going to put an inflation cap on pharmacy companies to where, and they can also negotiate with the pharmaceutical companies. But the other thing is they're going to put a cap on drug prices so that drug companies can't exceed inflation when it comes down to raising drug prices, because they'll jack it up in a minute. As soon as the demand hits, it'll be like 100 times profit, in a year. So bottom line is there's a lot of good, and I give Biden credit, and I give the Democratic Party credit when credit is due. But it's not like me being on a sports team, or actually supporting a sports team. These guys work for us. So when they don't work for us, you need to call it out and not have the kind of loyalty to where, if either you roll with the Democrats or you don't. No, I didn't do it for Obama. I didn't do it for Clinton. And, definitely didn't do it for Bush. Definitely, without a doubt, didn't do it for Trump. So, ultimately they're here to work for us. So when, we're still waiting, African Americans, blacks, we're still waiting for voting reform, the John Lewis bill, and police reform, which is the George Floyd Police Act, which Nancy Pelosi was wearing kente cloth a couple of years ago that she promised. So, I get this, and I applaud the week that they've had. But there's still things that, that impact the African-American community. And he said he had our back. So let's see if he does. He's got time, but let's see if he does. I'm going to leave it at that, y'all. That's what I got. All right, y'all, let's do this. Let's take a quick break. And you know what I'll do? Let's take a quick break, and we'll come back with Tanya B and the T. All right, here we go.
Every time.
Now then, children, it's time for tea.
It's tea time, y'all. Sipping the tea with Tanya B.
Tanya B, what you got?
Yeah.
What you got? You know,
All
I
right.
hit. We are going to do your what's cooking. I got another song for you for what's cooking, though. I'm gonna play it.
Okay.
All right. But go ahead. What you got
Well,
to
you
teach
got-
on you, B? What you got?
Okay, let me just get right to it. I mentioned this last week, and I'm still talking about it because things have just what I predicted would happen has happened. And I'm talking about Nasty Neo, the cheater of the decade. He's out there raw dogging these thoughts and women. I'm quoting his estranged wife, Crystal, women who sell their bodies for money. He's having unprotected sex, and she said after 8 years of marriage and 3 kids, one of whom she just had, like, I think this year, she's done with him. You know, I think Neo knew what he was doing, but he did the Johnny Taylor and said it's cheaper to keep her. But now he's going to have to pay. And word from the curb is, as I said, his wife Crystal is claiming that he recently had another baby, a side baby. So, I just say the way you get him, Crystal, is the way you lose him, Crystal. Just keep that in mind. But Neo's just not the marrying type of guy. He's the same guy who claims he understands women and really has respect for them, who wrote Irreplaceable, that was recorded by Beyonce, clearly is living a double life. And he's been out there after he liked her post, putting him on Front Street, and he's out there still doing the champagne life and partying it up and out there tootsie rolling, dipping it low, spreading it wide with a whole bunch of different women. So I think this I think this is why his album, although it's not the best album, it's really not selling. I think he really has alienated his core fan base. So we'll see what he's going to do now.
You have to come out of pocket.
Now he's
what you got next?
yeah, he's getting divorced, and word from the curb is that Usher is allegedly getting married. Maybe the third time may be a charm for him. He's got a girlfriend, a fiance, and her name is so long I don't want to botch it. I'll just say Baby Mama number 2. She's got 2 kids with Usher, and word from the curb is that they're getting married. So hey, you know what, Usher,
Well,
do you,
how long have they
baby?
been together? They've been together for a while, though, right? A couple of
3
years.
years. 3 years, 2
yeah,
kids.
Yeah, that's cool.
Mhm,
Go ahead.
mhm.
Good for him. Good for him. Congrats.
Yeah, exactly.
And good luck.
If it works, so be it. We're going to talk about the Prince estate now. It was all over the news that this $156.4 million estate battle had come to an end. But here's a gag about this whole thing. Again, keeping in mind 156.4. The family has to split $6 million 4 ways. The 3 siblings, and then with I think his name is Steve Gruner. He is the owner of the company Primary Wave and the husband of Prince's dear friend, talk show host Tamron Hall. So if you divide $6 million 4 ways, it's not a lot of money. It
What
really
they say,
isn't.
What they say, grand opening, grand closing?
Yeah, that's it. They've been,
not the estate,
all
not
these
not
attorneys
Paisley.
and all these
Yeah.
consultant fees and all this whatnot. And then Prince has 2 siblings, John and Jackson. They passed away during this 6-year battle, and their families are not going to get, I say again, their families get nothing. Okay. And then the Comerica Bank is keeping $3 million as a reserve for any future expenses and costs associated with closing the estate. So that really isn't, and like I said, take away 6 from 156. But word from the curb is, and I say this, allegedly, something came into my space that said the estate is actually worth about 4 times as much as they're claiming. So just do the quick math and say, okay, who got the money? Who got the money? That's all. Where's the money?
One
Where's
thing
the
I'm gonna
where's the
say,
money?
Tanya B, and next week we've got Teddy Aston coming in. Teddy, of course, was an executive at Warner Brothers, and he was there when Prince was hot. For the most of the years Prince. Of course, I think
The 80s.
The 80s for the most part, and into the 90s actually, and beyond the 90s. So he's going to give some insight next week into maybe not the entire behind-the-scenes legal battle, but at least what could potentially happen. So he'll be on not just to talk about that. He's got a new book, and I've known Teddy. You probably known Teddy for years, but he's going to be on with us next week, and we can ask him about that. Cool. What else you got next?
Yeah, this is just a cautionary tale. What happens when you pass away? You don't have the affairs in order. You have no wife, no will, and no children. This is what happens. And
Exactly.
the only people that make money off of this, just like the Aretha Franklin estate, are the attorneys. They're the ones that got the lion's share of the money.
Yep,
If you think
so
about
true.
it.
So true.
Okay, now I also want to talk to you about a new television show. Snoop Dogg and Kenya Barris, who we remember as one of the co-creators of Blackish, the two of them have partnered up for an upcoming comedy series. It's called The Underdogs. Snoop's going to star in this. He also will co-produce, and it's just imagine this: the Bad News Bears, which was a movie from the 70s about a youth baseball team. This is the Bad News Bears, but with a football team. And Snoop plays an NFL superstar who has a run-in with the law, and he has to agree to coach a youth football team to try to get back in people's good graces and jumpstart his career. So I think it should be interesting. And what's also interesting about this, it's directed by a guy named Chuck Stone. Who is he? I'm so glad you asked. If you recall, like back in '99, maybe, the term of Super Bowl commercial, "What's up, what's up, what's up."
Okay.
Chuck Stone was the creator, and he was one of the "What's Up" guys. So he's still dipping and doing his thing, representing Philadelphia. So I think that's going to be
real quick
interesting.
on that. The good thing is Snoop has like massive experience in youth football, so he knows.
He's been coaching.
He's been coaching as a league. So
Yes,
so
he does,
definitely he's going to probably lean on that experience to make it great. The other thing you and I talked about real quick is Barris. What's his name? Kendra Barris.
Kenya Barris.
Yeah, Kenya Barris.
Kenya, just call him Kenya.
The Blackish brand kind of peaked. Some of the stuff he's dropped on Netflix hasn't done. It's kind of been So hopefully he'll use this thing to kind of I guess jumpstart
Change it up.
his career. Change it up a bit.
Blackish is over. Mixed-ish didn't make it. Grownish is still on. I give that maybe one more season. And then there was supposed to be Oldish with Jennifer Lewis and Lawrence Fishburne, and that seems to have gone into the abyss of whatever happened to. So I think he just can't be a one-trick pony. He's got this other series he's got coming up with Wiz Khalifa on. So we'll see what happens.
We'll see.
Okay.
What you got?
And then I also wanted here's what I'm looking for. I am going up for this so much because I always loved Everybody Hates Chris. I've seen each and every episode more times than I can care to recall. But now there's an adult animated version coming to a small screen someday. It's called Everybody Still Hates Chris. And of course, Chris Rock's involved in it. He's doing this in conjunction with MTV Entertainment. And it talks about, him being, this skinny, nerdy guy in working class Bed-Stuy, Brooklyn in the late 80s. But what's interesting about it is he's working with his longtime collaborator, Ali Leroy, who we all know remember Pootie Tang. That's Pootie Tang. So Chris and Pootie Tang will be working on this again. It's been in development for a year and a half, and I know COVID came in and kind of put the kibosh on everything. But it's going to go straight to TV. So Chris will still narrate it, and I'm looking forward to it. And now we'll see this. How the show, remember how the show stopped when Chris was about to get out of high school because he wanted to take the GED test, and then I guess we'll talk about how he just kind of maybe honed his comedy chops because it picks up from his teenage years. So
are they gonna have the same parents? Those are they made the show.
That's very, especially Tashina Arnold, Arnold and Terry Crews. It would be cool if they would get them to come back and voice because Terry Crews, Tashina Arnold, they always have 99 jobs and they always keep a gig. So I hope they will because Chris Rock's going to narrate it. I know. As do I. Now we are going to talk about. This is what I made this up. I call it Chaka Kanye. Okay, so just follow me. In a recent interview, Chaka Khan was asked about Kanye West sampling her 80s hit Through the Wire. That was one of his breakthrough, really debut hit. It happened almost 30 years ago, and she said, I haven't heard from him, and I'm not looking to hear from him. But what she did say was she was upset he pitched up her voice like 3 times too many, and she said, I sound like a chipmunk. It was stupid and it was insulting. And she said, had I known he was going to do this when I agreed and cleared the sample, I would have said no. So I say like this, even back then, Chaka's still holding on and handling her business. And I wonder if what she was saying was a lowbrow shade to Khalees. About handling your business and making sure you own something. And I also say this, and if you're in Hollywood and you're a high profile person and you're with somebody for 9 months, that equates to 9 years in the real world. And with that said, if you haven't heard, Kim K and the comic actor Pete Davidson have called it quits. I'm hearing that it's because their schedules just conflict, and I heard that she's got 4 kids, she don't want 5 because he is considerably young. But Kim and Kanye getting back together, that is not going to happen. Do you know he just got dumped by his 5th divorce attorney? I don't know if he's going to try to represent himself. I hope not, because that would not be a good thing. But they're set to go to trial for this divorce December 14th, so he better hurry up and try. I was like, hey, come call Ben Crump. Ben Crump will show up. Even though he has no expertise in that particular field, Ben Crump may show up.
He might. We'll see. I'm not gonna say anything. And, you know what I got to say.
You're not gonna say anything. But I got to say one thing. But two things. One thing is, I'm a sports illiterate, but I got to tell you, if you have not seen this documentary called Point Guards on Showtime about NBA point guards and how the bulk of them come from New York. You've got Kenny Smith. What's his name? I think Kenny Anderson, Stephon Marbury, Nate Tiny Archibald. You've got Rod Strickland and Mark Jackson. And I'm telling you, they don't represent women. They don't represent women. That's what I didn't like. But again, I thought it was great. And all of these plays, what they did and I get it, to get to just make that mark in sports history. Almost every player that I name who's in there is a co-executive producer, which means they all put money in the pot to get this documentary done. And I thought it was great.
Good stuff. Hey, just a couple of things. And definitely Love Coach Steph is in the building. She is here. But I want to go ahead and try to finish up entertainment news. Just a couple of things on the Chi update. For those who check out the Chi on Showtime, Emmett and Tiff have been forced to be better co-parents. I'm telling y'all, something about to happen. Tiff is moving in with Emmett. It was not a happy situation when they told, Keisha's moving in with Emmett now, and they had to tell Tiff, and it was not pleasant. Tragedy strikes. Jim and Jake are no longer going to be parents. And Bakari, this guy, I'm here to tell you, for those of you who watch the Chi, Shad, you got to watch out, brother. That's Jason Weaver's character. You got to watch out. Papa, y'all need to stay away from this dude. I'm telling you, I can smell it. Alina Waite, I know how she thinks, and something's about to go down. I am proud of Shad, though, his character, Jason Weaver. He's handling himself. He's growing as a man. He was at a dinner for his girlfriend. He went to a dinner, and actually, because he has a record, of course, she said, don't tell my daddy that you've been in jail. He went ahead and told him anyway. You thought it was going to explode at the table, but take a look at the show and you'll see how it went. Trig's about to learn that Fatima is not Imani. For those of you who watch the show, you know what I'm talking about. I think it's going to get ugly. KW, I got to say what's up. I got to give KW his due. KW, if you want to see KW, our notes on the Chi and our commentary, you can go to at This Is the G podcast on IG, and you'll see our comments, and you can jump in with your comments as well. Or you can actually just go to castropolis.net. Leave us a voicemail at the People Poll. We'd love to hear what you think. If you watch The Chi, which I'm definitely, that's one of my favorite shows these days. So definitely go and give us some info on social media. Also, big recommendation this week. Oh, you've seen this. Prey on Hulu, which is the prequel to The Predator. And it is an absolute winner. I give it up to them. It's basically set in the late 1700s. It is a prequel because all the shows, of course, take place later. But the movie star is a young female. She's actually from the Sioux tribe, and her name is Amber Midthunder. Of course, she's an indigenous American member of the Sioux tribe, and she actually auditioned for the role in Comanche. So she actually spoke Comanche to get this role. Let me tell y'all talk about, what was the movie with Arnold Schwarzenegger where he played the Terminator? Y'all talk about Linda Evans? What's her name? You know her name, Tanya B.
Linda Hamilton, ex-wife of James Cameron of Titanic fame. Yes.
Y'all think about Linda Hamilton like putting it down, but this shit, she is fierce with an axe. So that's all I got to say. Y'all check it out. It's on Hulu. It's called Prey, Prey. Definitely, it is my top pick for the week. Also, if you're a fan, which I'm a fan of Google and Batu Raw, Her new series is Surface. It's on Apple. It is impressive. And actually, you know, if y'all don't know Gugu, she's from Beyond the Lights, by the same director who did Love and Basketball. She plays the star and, you know, the singer in that. Also, if you haven't seen the movie Fast Colors, she is the star in that. And also, if you saw the Black Mirror episode with the, I always say the name wrong, but y'all know, if you watch Black Mirror, you know what I'm talking about. She starred in that and actually won an Emmy. But the series is produced by Reese Witherspoon. I did not know that's Reese Witherspoon's company that actually does a lot on Apple. They did the morning show on Apple as well. Apple really, you know, the thing about Apple TV, the Apple Plus, the app, is the fact that the quality of their show, when you watch it, it doesn't look like it's in a cheap set at all. It's like they spent a whole lot of money to do it. So kudos to her. It's a great looking show. A little slow in the beginning, but it's a great looking show. People are tripping about Discovery and Warner. And the reason being, they dropped the Batgirl movie. Not the Black Girl movie, but the Batgirl movie. But it was done, you know, it was Latina. And the movie was actually budgeted for $90 million. They saw it, the new owners, which, you know, Discovery bought, Time Warner. The new owners saw the movie and they didn't feel it would actually give them the return that they needed. They've had some major issues. Their stock price is falling like a rock, like a lead balloon. And the new mergers really, you know, is giving them a significant hit, you know, so they basically made a decision. The other thing is they leaked the script on, you know, and a lot of people saw the script and said, kind of garbage, may not want to do it. I think it's unfortunate for the actress. Also unfortunate for Michael Keaton, was supposed to come back as Batman. Brendan Fraser, who did all the Mummy movies, was supposed to be in it, and you know, had some star power, but people just didn't feel, the company didn't feel it was going to live up to the standard. Now they're going to go ahead and release The Flash with all the, you know, the star of that movie is like, damn, he lost his mind. What's that?
All that mess he don't got himself into?
Oh yeah, all the mess. They're gonna go ahead and release that because they feel, I think it tested better when it came down to the audience, because they run tests. They do audience testing on it. I'm gonna leave it at that. We're gonna see. Also, one more thing, y'all. If you have HBO Max, I have HBO Max, and I basically, because I'm an AT&T customer, you get HBO Max, you get HBO for free. That deal may go away. And what
maybe not for long.
Yeah, maybe not for long, because what's happening is your HBO, all that is part of your AT&T. But what they're going to do is supposedly combine all the apps, HBO Max, all that under a Discovery app. So all their products, all their brands are going to be under HBO Max. Well, not under HBO Max, but it's going to Discovery HBO Max, which is going to probably push out the deal that they have with AT&T, because, you know, now they're looking at the bottom line. Okay. All right, y'all. You know, if you have any comments, again, go to Castropolis.net. Click on the people poll. You can definitely leave us comments there. You can go to our social media. We're on IG. We're on YouTube. All those places, and just leave us a comment. You know, again, let me say what's up, because I didn't think she's in the building. She is definitely. she's in the building. Y'all give it up for the one and only, the Love Coach is in the building. Guys. And I really appreciate you, Stephanie, coming in. Stephanie,
I thought you said she was a life coach.
She is a love coach. I said love. There's, you know, love and life.
Last week, Coach, last week he said, 2 weeks ago, he said life coach. I got the receipt. Okay.
We have Love Coach Kim, who's coming in, you know, life coach. Let me say life coach Kim, who's coming in. This is Love Coach Steph, and she's a love coach.
Love coaching is, I mean, definitely includes, you know, life coaching, but I like to focus on love coaching because actually at the center of life coaching is self-love. And if any coach isn't coming from that place, you probably should do a little digging on that.
Well put. Very well put. And again, the Love Coach, Steph Gray. It's okay if I call you Steph? Is that cool? People call you Steph? And she's been on the show before, back on the episode when we tried to do we were thinking about doing the Love Connection, but COVID just ran rampant on everything. And I think that was the last time we actually talked.
That was the last time.
It was almost like right at the beginning when things just started going haywire. But Love Coach Steph Gray. Her book is 10 Universal Rules of Love. Go to the website, stephanielgray.com. She's an author, entrepreneur. She's been, again, with us before. She is an international or a former international pro athlete. And I saw her post and I had to bring her on, reach out to her. I always follow, Steph. She does great content. And one of the things that basically hit me is what I've been saying, and we've been seeing on the show. I agree with her that a lot of what Brittany's going through right now has to do with equity and pay.
Mm-hmm.
And can you speak to that, because you've been an international pro player? How did that impact you in terms of your life and having to travel to all these different locations? Go ahead.
Well, I'll say it impacted me in a couple of different ways. There, of course, is a wonderful impact, right? You're being paid to do something that you've been doing your whole life and probably would do for free, so that you can go to a different country and live. So there is that aspect of it, and that's a wonderful part of it. But the other part of it is, once the shine or the sheen of that kind of wears off, you look up and you look around and no one speaks your language, your family isn't there, your friends aren't there, and you're in this foreign country to do a job. Now, the beautiful part is women's sports in a lot of other countries are a lot more respected than they are here in the United States. So there is a huge fan base. There is, we were really treated like rock stars in the countries that I played in. A lot of respect for, especially women's basketball. But the other aspect of it is we have to do that, right? So if you're speaking about the WNBA in particular, you have these franchise players like Sue Bird and Brittany Griner, and back a little bit before I was playing, Lisa Leslie even, and Rebecca Lobo, who's now a commentator. Like, all of those women had to go to Europe to make a livable wage, to make the equivalent of what still not a franchise player makes in the NBA, but just the equivalent of what maybe that last bench player makes. And so on that post, you'll be surprised. And this especially came from men.
Lord.
No one cares about the WNBA. No one likes the sport. They're not going to make as much because it's not as popular of a sport, and it's not making as much money, on and on and on. Valid arguments, right? Valid arguments. WNBA does not have as much of a draw as the NBA. But I'll tell you what, when the NBA was 25 years old, they were on the brink of, in fact, before Larry Bird and Magic Johnson entered the NBA, they were on the brink of going defunct. And at the time, it was also the ABA, right?
Hey, let me say this, Stephanie. If y'all don't believe that, take a look at Winning Time on HBO, because it speaks to that. Right before Magic and right before Bird, these owners were just nickel and dime, and they were trying to figure out what we're going to do, how we going to continue.
That's right. And at that time, the NBA wasn't 30. I believe it was like 28 years old at the time.
Yeah.
So if you want to compare the timeline where the WNBA is right now, I would say it's a lot farther along than where the NBA was at the same age, in terms of popularity, in terms of people knowing about it. Now, I think just in general, women's sports in this country are not well received because women athletes, if you don't look a certain way, a lot of the market, the product itself is normally marketed to men, white men in particular. And what white men want to see are not strong Black women running up and down a basketball court, some of whom may be LGBTQ. But even if you are not, if you look strong, that's not attractive to the typical consumer of NBA basketball, which, believe it or not, is a white male. That's not just women's basketball, that's women's sports across the board. So think about Flojo, right? She was well received because she ran, but she had the long nails, she had the hair, she had the makeup, she gave the femininity that patriarchy wants to see. If I'm speaking frankly.
No, frankly, we want it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's that to contend with, which is a ceiling that women's sports needs to break through. So what I said to those men who made the argument of no one cares about it or the WNBA isn't as popular and blah blah blah, my argument was you sound and women will make more money when the sport is more popular. Just because they're doing equal work doesn't mean they should get equal pay. These are things that people have actually said.
Yeah.
To them, I said, and these are a lot of black men, you sound just like a white man who is talking about why black people aren't farther along in this country, why we are financially behind a lot of other races, without talking about what enslavement and Jim Crow did to black people to financially oppress them. So to me, it's the same concept. And I spoke about it just because by the way, not taking any accountability away from Brittany Griner, because I had this conversation with a lot of people. I think it was absolutely ridiculous and stupid for her to have that shit in her bag. She's played there for 9 years. She knows the Russian law, and we are at war with Russia, not a ground war, but we are definitely in war with Russia because of the Ukraine. If you're in this country, you need to know that and you need to handle yourself accordingly. When I played internationally, my biggest thing was I need to get home. So whatever I need to do. Let me ask
you there, Steph. On that note, Steph, do you think?
Yeah.
I mean, are women athletes still going to Russia at this point, like this, playing for the Russian teams?
Brittany played there for 8 years, and some women are still going there. Just like there are women who go to Israel. I have a lot of friends who actually played in Israel, and Israel has been at war with Palestine for 1,000 years. Like they go to these war-torn countries, especially in that Eastern European area where there's a lot of unrest with those governments, and they go there to play basketball because there's money to be made there.
Do you think they should? Do you think they should? At this point, right now, at this stage,
I wouldn't play in Russia right now. Absolutely not. Yeah. I wouldn't recommend playing in Russia. I wouldn't recommend playing anywhere where the government is unstable, because that would endanger your chances of coming home, and that's the most important thing. Not the money, but being able to come home. But the point I was going to make before the accountability piece is she shouldn't have to do that. You know, women's athletes shouldn't have to do that. The WNBA is a subsidiary of the NBA, which means that the NBA has the capital, if they so chose, to invest in the WNBA. And it probably would make that product that much stronger. Why? Because now women don't have to spend time overseas, and so they can be here promoting the brand, getting stronger as players. It could be more attractive to international players. The NBA has so many international players right now because it's such a strong brand. And I just firmly believe that the investment hasn't been made in a substantial way, in a very substantial way, because of the excuse of it's not a popular sport.
Let me make a statement, and I want you to think about this, because we're in line with what I'm in line with what you're saying. But when you look at Kyrie made a statement, LeBron James has made a statement on Brittany Griner. Why haven't these guys, if you consider the amount of money that Kyrie makes, and basically when you look at last season and you look at the amount of time he played versus the amount of money he made, or even looking at LeBron, looking at a lot of these players and a lot of the money that they generate, why haven't the black male players just said, look, we're going to help sustain, because, you know, I don't expect the commissioner to do anything more. I think it's going to have to come from the actual black players who see this as a way to protect their women, or the women who are part of their organization. Why haven't they just said, hey, we're going to give, you know, if it's $2 million, you know, per player, to just have some type of fund, almost a sponsorship, or we're just going to buy out the empty seats if you know, at the games. Why do you think that hasn't happened?
Because unlike Kobe Bryant, a lot of these men are not girl dads, and they don't have women who potentially would play in the NBA. God rest Kobe Bryant, but I think if he were still alive, he was already advocating for that. I think he would really continue to advocate for that, and also put his money where his mouth is. I think a lot of it's privilege, right?
Yeah.
Even black men we all enjoy privilege of some sort, right? But if you are a professional athlete and you are a Black man, you have privilege. You have a privilege that you take for granted. And although I applaud them for speaking out on these things, it's different when you put your money where your mouth is. And not only that, the NBA, the NBA, the WNBA, a subsidiary of the NBA, says, they have players unions. How come the women's union is separate from the men's union? That would give better collective bargaining for women as well. So there's a lot of gaps, if you will, in what people say and what people do. But what is their incentive to do so? Unless this is personally impacting you, i.e. Kobe Bryant, and God bless that man. He was doing so much for women's basketball because of his baby. He had a baby girl, but before he had
an investment. Yeah, he actually had, he had an interest in how she would actually, her opportunity to play. Yeah.
That's right. But before he had Gia, it wasn't on his radar either. So I think it will take these men being personally impacted by what's happening to these women athletes, because it's really not even about protecting women as much as it is about seeing us as equal athletes. Like, we work as hard as men work to perfect our sport, especially if you're playing professionally. We put the same hours on the court. Listen, I can't count the number of elbows I've taken in my body, the number of times I went home bruised up and banged up. I've torn my ACL. I've had 6 surgeries altogether between my knees. Like we do the same things, and it's just about seeing women athletes as equals. And until that happens, we'll probably be having this conversation.
How do you think, and I'll throw it to my co-host here, but I do want to ask one more question about Griner. How do you think the situation is going to turn out now that they've handed down a sentence?
Well, I'm hopeful that the trade will happen. She had to be sentenced before President Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris were able to, and the State Department were able to really make an offer to trade this prisoner of war this prisoner of Russia that we have in the United States, serving a 25-year sentence. Before we're able to make that trade, she had to be sentenced and legally put into their camp there. And so now that that's happened, I'm certain that the U.S. government is doing everything they can to bring her and the other U.S. I think they have 2 Marines that are there imprisoned as well, and they're trying to package that and bring them home. So I'm hopeful that by the end of the year, maybe all of them will be home, because I wouldn't want to be in prison anywhere, but I damn sure wouldn't want to be in prison in Russia.
Nope. That's like the old movie. What was the movie back in the 70s?
Midnight Express.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh my. And Papillon. Those 2 movies run through my head when I think about Russia. I'm like, oh my God. No.
I would
please.
never in a million years want to be there. So I'm hoping that happens. But another thing I'm hoping, 2 other things I hope happen. That Brittany Griner will consider her role in this and be a lot more responsible and speak out about the responsibility of athletes, U.S. athletes playing abroad. Was her sentence trumped up? Absolutely. Did she break the law? Absolutely. There's no way that you should have had that with you. I will say that until the cows come home, but the sentence certainly did not fit the crime. And the second thing I hope happens is that a substantive conversation begins about bringing equity to pay for WNBA players and all women's athletes for that matter, so that maybe our athletes don't have to go to European countries or other foreign countries, period, to play unless they so choose. Not because they're forced to, but unless that is their choice.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Y'all give it up for the one and only Love Coach Steph. Thank you so much. And I do have one more question, and I'm going to check to see if Tanya B and Vi, if they have a question. But my quick question is, and I didn't ask you about this in advance, so hopefully you're willing to answer this. And I'm going to say, hopefully I say her name, Liz Cambage. Okay. Released, am I saying her last name correct?
Cambage,
Liz, yeah, Cambage from, she played for LA, the LA Sparks.
Okay.
You familiar with her?
Vaguely.
Okay, she left the Sparks, and I'm not going to get into it, but she made a comment, and you don't hear as much about it because she's mixed race. She's from Australia. I think her dad is black, her mom's Australian.
Okay, big girl, 6'7".
Yes,
Yeah, I know
yes.
what
She
you're
was
talking
standing
about.
next to Shaq.
Yeah.
And she made some derogatory comments some months ago. Now, they've denied the fact that she said it, but it was odd that they let her go. They decided not to keep her. They actually just did not renew her deal in LA. And I was wondering if you had any thoughts about, why. But, she's just been kind of somewhat of a controversial figure for some of the things she said. She said some derogatory things about Nigerian women. When you start throwing around the word monkey, I don't know if she said it, she denied it, in the locker room, but all of a sudden her contract gets canceled. And interesting. But go ahead. Just wondering
That
if you heard
wouldn't
anything.
surprise me, but the WNBA is doing all it can as a brand to shine a light on diversity and inclusion. Even down to, this is the first year I've ever seen the WNBA affirm LGBTQ plus players, which a large part of their audience has been that from inception. So it doesn't surprise me that they would part ways with her. I saw her. That young lady is troubled in a lot of different ways. She's a brilliant and talented ball player, but she's definitely troubled. And I think she's out ahead of her skis, if you will.
Yeah.
I think she's very, very arrogant, which you need some level of arrogance and ego to be good at anything, especially to be a good athlete. So I support that. But when it becomes toxic and it's breaking down your team, and the coach in LA is, what is his name? He's a pro ex NBA player. I can't think of his name right now.
Yeah, he played guard for the Lakers. I know you're talking about.
That's right. That's right.
His name will come to me in a minute, but I know you're talking about. He coached in the NBA too. Yeah.
Someone of that caliber as a coach, I can totally see him saying, "Get the hell out of here. I don't want that toxicity on my team." He's a champion, so he knows what it takes to get there.
Well, I'm glad whatever was going on, it was a distraction, and I think they made the move to kind of they called it divorcing her they were divorcing themselves from her contract. I said, damn.
Yeah.
But anyway, thank you so much again for coming on, and congrats to you. I think since we had you on the show, you've gotten hitched, and
yes, I did.
Again, your beautiful wife, and I think you got. Are you happy now in the ATL? Coming from, because you're Chicago, right?
That's
Chicago.
Right. That's right.
You're not homesick, are you? You're not homesick.
I tell you what I miss is Lake Michigan. I've never been landlocked before, so I miss Lake Michigan, but I can't front on the A. I'm very happy here. It was one of the best moves of my life, so I'm happy to be here. And thank you for asking.
Oh well, thank you, and congratulations to you, and keep up the great work. Will you come back and do some love coaching in the future?
Absolutely.
Drop
Whenever you need me, Tommy.
Well, I appreciate you. Thank you again. Y'all give it up for the one and
only.
One and only.
We need the love.
Thank you so much, man. Love Coach Steph. Thank you so much. Okay, great. The website is StephanieLGray.com. That's Gray.com. On IG, she is I Am the Love Coach. And yes, she is right here in our very own ATL. All right, y'all. Again, go to castropolis.net. Everything you need is there. Definitely. I'll have a link for the information I built, so you guys can go in and see what benefits there are for you. I think that there are some opportunities, but I think there's a lot of missed opportunities. But I'm gonna keep it positive. But I will say, one of the things is we still accountable, and I'm not gonna get on my soapbox because I start beating that dead horse. I done beat the dead horse. The bones are gone on the dead horse.
No, you beat that horse back to life. It came back from the dead, and it has everlasting life.
But you know why, Tanya B? Because people call me and say, "Man, why are you so hard on Biden? You need to be positive. You need to be happy." I said, "I'm not," because the last thing he said, one of the biggest things he said in that inauguration address, as well as his acceptance speech in November, was, the African American community had my back when things were at their lowest, We turned things around for him. So, don't put us on the back burner. That's all I got to say. I'm going to leave it at that. We're going to go to final thoughts and then close out the show. But again, happy birthday to both you guys. I mean, to Vi, not to both my co-hosts, to Tanya B. It's her month, the birthday month, all month long.
Yes, but we forgot somebody very important.
To Vi dipping it and doing it. I saw you, man. Was that a red Solo cup in your hand? But I digress. Go ahead, Tanya B.
No, I just want to say happy Greatness Day, happy birthday, happy born day to somebody who I think has had an effect on just global culture, and that is our forever president, Barack Obama, who celebrates a birthday. I believe it's today.
Yes, it is.
Happy birthday. And you know what he did?
What did he do?
He and Michelle went down to the Cape in Boston, which doesn't really have a lot of people that look like this, more people that look like this.
Yep.
And they are supporting an African-American film festival down there. So if anyone's into film and things like that, they have them in, Orlando and Atlanta and Miami and everything, go support, the Cape. Cape Cod African-American Film Festival.
They were not
not at all.
When they came in, it was like everybody's like,
that's the best thing. You just roll up and blow up the spot and leave.
Yeah. They were like, oh my God, it's Michelle. Yeah, you could just hear, all over IG people posting the videos. So definitely, but again, I remain positive, but we still got to hold them accountable. But it is the best week, definitely, probably the best week of his presidency. When you look at the fact that they took out the Al Qaeda leader, they got the PACT Act passed. You and I talked about the burn pits. You were in Iraq, so you know about the burn pits.
And can we say shout out to Jon Stewart, because he could be doing a whole lot. He could be sitting down, just chilling, counting his money. But, once again, he's out there defending the forgotten, the people, the 9/11, the EMTs and the medical workers and those folks. And now, he's one, I think, who's putting his money where his mouth is. And I think, just giving up his time, because that's priceless. But I just want to give him 5 on it, because he doesn't have to do that. He could just be somewhere chilling like a lot of these athletes are about Brittany Griner. And, he's not, just out there for the PR. I believe he's really committed to this. So 5 on it to Jon Stewart.
I give it up to him. And also, I got to say, they need people like Jon Stewart, because one of the things, when you have somebody who will say cuss and go, you need those lightning rod people to support these causes, not somebody who's just going to go up and give you a bunch of these and thous and we must, and Bob, we must do this for the people. No, you need somebody like Jon Stewart.
It's like Jon Stewart. Know what it was? I think he got his ghetto his bus pass. He earned it this week. He earned it.
Yeah, he called him out.
Yeah. As he should.
Call him out.
He said, shit, but excuse me for cussing, but motherfuckers, damn. No, it's like,
but I think he expresses the frustration of all those military families and the families of people that died from 9/11, and the government's acting like, they got their head in the sand, like these illnesses don't exist. They exist. And it's like, look, you got people out there who, for all intents and purposes, are just jacked up for life, who will never be the same. Yeah, and you don't want to give them some basic, mental health care. You don't want to recognize the sacrifices they made. You know what? I stand with Jon Stewart. Let's go see. I got my pressure up. I'm ready to go start a protest up here.
Yeah. There you go. There you go.
Really?
Any final thoughts, Tanya B? You got any final thoughts before we get to the benediction?
A shout out to, I have a thought, and I know this has, I just want to say this. I want to know who in the Sam Hill went down to the Jaya house in New York and put $28,000 on R. Kelly's books. But it's okay, because the feds and the sex trafficking victims fund came and took it, and now he only got $500. How many chips can he buy down to the Jaya before they move him?
What's his girl's name in the ATL? What's her name?
Joycelyn gonna have to go back moving with her mama in them, because now he hit a bag of money with her. But yeah, he's like, who took my money? Who took my money? The feds took it, the attorneys took it, the people you had to pay those fines to took it, and the victims fund, who deserves it. So he can't count past 5 anyway. So whatever.
The money gone.
And I would say, if those people that are in his cult want to think they're going to go down there and replenish the funds, all the feds are going to do is take it and keep paying more fines and paying more victims. So I really applaud the feds for doing that.
Very cool.
And I'm done. I got some cooking to do.
I hear you. What else you got? You got anything,
Money
Vi?
alone.
That's what I'm saying. He said it. What you got? Any final thoughts before we do benediction, Vi?
Well,
Which,
all I can
and by
say,
the way,
I'm
I can really see your shift roll real good right now, and that shift roll is. let me give it up for the shift roll.
man. Hey,
Go ahead, man. I threw you off, didn't I?
you did. I don't know what to say no more.
Come on, man. Come on,
All I'm
Vi.
gonna say, all up to the people who all on this the Sean Watson gig. I'm saying I'm not saying the man did anything wrong, but I think he's what he didn't get to play ball last year, and this 6 months, like the judge said, yeah, he was wrong, but he didn't commit a violent crime. If the women really wanted him to pay, so why did they agree to sell out of court?
Yeah.
Now you agree to sell out of court, and you still want to punish it. If you really want to punish it, why don't you just hold your ground and go to court with it? So you want your money and that? No, you can't
Because
have it all.
COVID is real and they needed money to pay their rent so they wouldn't get evicted. That's why they settled out of court. Come on now.
But you know what?
But you can't.
Yeah,
my thing,
yeah.
you can't have your cake and eat it too.
Yeah.
No, I agree with you. But again, the struggle is real and they didn't want to get evicted. They got their little go away money.
My thing is,
That was some go away money.
My thing is, so if you gonna take the money, then stop talking about he didn't put it. You took the money. Y'all took the money.
But you
If
take
you
the
hadn't
money,
took the
then
money-
all bets are off. You
Right.
took the money,
So why
all
are you
bets
still
are
talking
off.
about he didn't get? But you took the money. But y'all took the money. Y'all could have went to court. Y'all chose not to go to court. Everybody
They couldn't
sold out.
afford to go to court. Come on. They're about to get evicted. Bye.
I'm not trying to, but I understand. Like I said, I'm not trying to protect him. I'm saying enough
Yeah,
is enough.
I hear you, man. I hear you.
Enough
just
is
let it.
enough.
It's time to move on. But I will say this: that franchise is going to be everywhere they go. It's going to be there's going to be protests out. And the women's
Cleveland don't
organization's
care.
gonna-
Cleveland like
But
this.
Cleveland
If you
doesn't
win-
care. But they're going to be going.
Cleveland said
everywhere.
if he win, one thing about the NFL,
Yeah.
If
winning,
you win, they look the other way, right?
winning cures all.
But I'm gonna
Winning
say
cures
this.
all.
Let me say this, y'all. I'm gonna say this. He has to win because if he does not win, it's gonna be holy hell in
You know
his
what?
life.
He's already in holy hell. He's in Cleveland. That is holy hell.
He is.
If I'm
he
Deshaun
is
Jackson-
the highest paid. No, not because of the fact that because of these all of these settlements by and Tanya B, but also because of the fact that he's got guaranteed he's the highest paid
That's right.
player in the league right
For
now.
now, until to the boy
Lamar Jackson. You'll see
get
what
his
Lamar
contract.
Jackson.
Till he
we'll
get his
we'll see how that
contract.
goes. We'll see how that goes. But one more
Yeah.
thing, I do want to ask, and this is one more just real quick, and then we'll close out the show. I just want to mention this before we go. Hank Aaron, and I want to thank Harold Michael Harvey. Hank Aaron is actually getting the bust of Hank Aaron. If you've ever been to Turner Field, which is now owned by Georgia State, for all my ATL folks, they have moved the bust of Hank Aaron from the Turner Field location and decided to put it in Adams Park, which is actually my old stomping ground. It's where I played, youth football and youth basketball, but it's only about 3 miles from his home. There's an article that Harold Michael Harvey did, and I'm going to make sure that we have that posted on the podcast notes. But hey, Vi, let's go ahead and do it, man. And let's see. Let me get it ready. Don't say nothing, Tanya B. Here you go. You ready for the benediction?
I'm ready, my brother.
You know Tanya B always jumps in. Hallelujah. I know you're gonna get me. Go ahead, Vi. Go ahead. What you got? Give us the benediction, man.
Often we ask, what does God expect from me? Here, Moses gives a summary that is simple, informed, and easy to remember. Here are the essentials. 1, fear God. 2, live in a way that pleases him. 3, love him. 4, serve him with all your heart and soul. And 5, obey his command. Too often, we complicate the faith and man-made rules, regulation, requirement. Are you frustrated and burnt out from trying hard to please God? Concentrate on his real requirement and find peace. Respect, follow, love, serve, and obey. Deuteronomy 10:12-13. What does the Lord your God require of you but to fear the Lord your God, to walk in all his ways, and to love him, to serve the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul. Keep the commandments of the Lord and the statutes. In other words, it ain't hard to please God. Just love him, obey him, and follow his lead. That's all it takes. All these man-made rules all these churches keep made for you. No, that is not it. It's easy. Love, obey, and follow. And you pleasing God. Amen. Amen.
Thank you so much, country commentator. Welcome back, man.
Hallelujah.
Glad to be back.
Hallelujah. Hallelujah.
I knew she was gonna get it in. I knew she's gonna get it in. All right,
Stop
y'all.
playing with
but
the Lord
again, go to Castropolis. Hey, you're a better man than me to go, to say Deuteronomy. See, I screwed up Deuteronomy.
That's because you playing. See, that's what. Stop playing with
Let
the
me
Lord.
get out of here quick. Let me get out.
Spell
Ain't
Deuteronomy.
nothing wrong with it. Don't ask me to spell it either.
Go to Castropolis.net. Go to Castropolis.net. Click on the people poll if you have any comments, any feedback. Love to hear from you. Also, all the information is there if you want to follow us, if you want to definitely download the podcast, everything. Again, thank you so much. Definitely thank you to Love Coach Steph, Stephanie L. Gray.com. I'll make sure her information is on the podcast notes. You can go there and get everything you need. I'm sounding like Obama. The older I get, I'm sounding like damn Obama. Me and you both by getting to 60, man. I'm sounding like Obama. Episode 140 is in the can, y'all. And we are out of here. Power to the people and
peace.
Hallelujah.
You're not gonna say COVID? Come on.
The BA5 is badass 5, and the badass 4.6 is not playing with y'all. Keep Tootsie rolling, okay?
Wash your hands and don't put them in your face.
Wash more in your hands. Monkeypox is real, y'all.
Absolutely. Thank y'all. Have a good week.